actually
Yeah,
heard
I'm sorry. I was on mute. I'm sorry. I was letting you talk there. But these things have really, what you're saying has put a magnifying glass on what people have began to understand about 80 miles north of San Francisco and Bohemian Grove and the little owl on the dollar bill and some of the symbolism that Jordan Maxwell has pointed out among several other people have gotten into this information, in particular Alex Jones, who supposedly infiltrated Bohemian Grove. Now, as I understand it, Bohemian Grove is a place that at the last 2 weeks of July every year, people like Ronald Reagan and the Bushes or the Clintons have met, and this is men only at this grove, and women aren't allowed. Since then now, women have been allowed to work there because they had protested because of this, but what they do is they call in basically sex slaves from prostitution rings or some type of adult type of pornographic place. They call in these males only, and they do these sexual rituals, and they do these rituals of children, and they walk around in these robes, and they pray to this 45-foot stone owl, which I'm not sure if it's Moloch or Columbia. It depends on who. Yeah, it depends on who you talk to, because Alex Jones now knows apparently that owl is actually Columbia, and that goes into some of Freeman's information. I know I had mentioned Freeman to you before, and he has a wealth of information when it comes to the Illuminati and symbolism. His father used to be on a submarine with Jimmy Carter. His father was a Freemason. His mother was an Eastern Star, and they were at the top of their game. And Freeman has never been part of this society, but he does know so much about it, and he's able to put the pieces of the puzzle together just so amazingly. He talks about, I don't mean to be going off subject here, but he talks about Washington, D.C. and the pentagram shapes there, and the owl at the Washington, D.C. at the White House, and the obelisk, which is obviously representing a phallic that is going down the waterways, some of Jordan Maxwell's information, the waterways into this would be the ovaries and the Oval Office. And like you said, sex and these symbols are everywhere, and people need to understand that this is not fear-mongering what we're talking about. It's deprogramming what we've been programmed when we talk about mind control and what's been happening to us on a regular basis. And this is something that I can talk about because I've done my research, and it is happening, and it's real, and it's just a matter of, taking out the trash. That's all we're doing here. We got to get this information out in order to move on.
I remember hearing a story on Coast to Coast about a woman who was rescued. Her and her daughter were rescued from that sex slave, mind control sex slave ring. I can't remember what her name is. I wish I could right now. But he went. The gentleman was in the military. Went to a friend in the customs and helped smuggle her out of China, her and her daughter. And then he learned the key phrases that unlocked her, and then she could go on and tell her story. She'd been in it for something like, since Ford was governor of, I can't remember what state it was, her dad was doing this to kids, and then instead of going to jail, he was offered a position within the Masonic order to do this for the CIA. He basically traumatized kids, and then he sold his daughter into it, basically.
Oh, yes.
Can we bring the John Burke Society into this discussion that we're having here? I've heard rumors about that. Do you have any information about that, Aaron? Is the John Burke Society part of this agenda and what's going on?
I'm not sure about the John Burke Society, but I can tell you a organization that is part of this. Well, they are known by many as CPS, but they are better known as the Child Protective Services.
And I have heard that, definitely. And they actually have been charged in some cases. From what I've gathered in my own research on the Internet, I've seen that they're have already been children kidnapped from Haiti in the same type of situation where they say that these children are now homeless and they have no parents.
Well, now you have to understand that, and now I would not be surprised if some of the children from Haiti are being put into this sex slave trade, this global trade. But you also have to remember that a lot of the people, and I've said this before, a lot of the people who have conveniently come up missing, children to elders in Haiti, is absolutely under Operation Spyglass, where these people are being taken underground as lab rats, spare parts, and even food. But that's a whole other subject. One of the other things that I wanted to get into, because this topic, and I don't like focusing on negative, and I don't normally focus so much on negative, but this is just people need to know this, and sometimes they have to hear the negative in order to lift up to the positive. One of the other things that are done with these women, and this is actually done through either through ET abductions, my labs, usually ET abductions in my labs, military abductions, where they have the technology with these women through the programming of these women is to induce ovulating. They can induce ovulating. They take the woman, they take the egg is then taken off to either create a soulless being or to create another child for whatever, because this woman has the right DNA for, she's got the right psychic DNA. They even have done this on many times where they actually have induced a woman's menstrual cycle and have taken the blood and then they use this blood in Illuminati dark blood rituals. So they are not just sex slaves. They're being used on many different scopes.
When you say soul being, soulless being, what do you mean by that? Is that like a clone or android or something?
Well, no. What they're taking the egg then is for they have the technology, and I can't explain the science behind it, but they can make a human that does not have a soul. It is basically a robot, or better known as an omega. Or they may even use that egg in one of the hybrid programs, whether it is the Jackal Super Soldier program or the Dolphin Human Super Soldier program. But what the soulless beings, that's a whole other topic that we could get into a little later on.
That's Avatar. I'm sorry, the movie Avatar. There you go. That's what you're talking about, right?
I was sharing a lot of information that I have not yet even shared about the base that I was at far before that movie came out, and I finally got up the nerve to watch that movie, and it really was very triggering and really, I had a hard time dealing with it, but I will tell you this, that, and I've said this on many times before, when you see something in a movie, not exactly everything, but a lot of the stuff that is labeled with science fiction or fantasy is indeed very much real. They're clever. They put this in movies because when people see a movie, they automatically associate it with just make-believe, with, the science fiction and all of that.
Now, I have a very important question to ask before. We got 10 minutes left, basically, before I play a song and we go into the second hour, and everybody's going to lose us on the live level, but they will be able, once the show's archived, to go back and listen to this second hour. I want to pose this question before that happens. And that is that I've been postulating this hypothesis of the fact that here you have Duncan O'Finian, who, first-generation super soldier, deadlifts 1,000 pounds. You got a third-generation super soldier, possibly, and Aaron McCollum, who possibly has had his DNA spliced with a dolphin extraterrestrial. I don't know. I don't know the circumstances. We haven't got into that on this show. But I'm just adding together all of my research, and I'm thinking, okay, here, according to the Heather documents and some other research that I've done, we do have the ability to produce organs or to harvest organs. So you can make organs. You can make these beings that are capable of not eating. You can make these soulless beings. And you can clone anything or anybody. We've done it with animals. We've done it with strawberries. We've cloned them with, we split their DNA with halibut so that they can grow in the wintertime. I mean, there's all these things going on with fruits and vegetables and animals. So my question is, at this point, with the fact that we have synthetic soulless beings that we cannot determine, and a doctor could not determine whether they are a real